Hello everyone, welcome to a origin showcase of 3 specific origins in which I have created of my own design. They're not all the most unique, but I try to make them as unique of a playstyle as possible. So, as you can probably tell by the title, these 3 origins are, in a way, attempted to be based around the Zodiac, or the 3 water signs, Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces. So, let's get right into it. So the first one we're going to go over is Scorpio, the scorpion. So they have a couple features that most of the water ones do. All the water origins have like water. They do not sink when they don't want to. I just scroll past these real quick. They also all have aqua infinity and fins, just because they're water origins. They're water zodiac and they have a couple boosts in it. So things that are unique to Scorpio are toxic system. They're immune to hunger and poison, along with taking no damage from wither. What this is supposed to mean is that you can still get the wither effect, it just won't damage you. This will be apparent why in a couple powers down. Reliance on toxins. You rely on your ability to chip away at enemies' health using your venom, meaning you deal less damage and have 3 less hearts. So you're just not used to exactly playing fair in melee combat, you know? You're slightly smaller than the average person. This is not exactly necessary, it's just a fun little touch. I like changing up sizes sometimes. Don't touch me. When a creature hits you and you have the wither effect, they themselves are withered. This is one of the main combat things for Scorpio. And then to go along with that, they have self-wither. They may give themselves the wither effect using some hunger, and it has a cooldown. That will also be shown off. Carnivore. You can only eat meat, quite self-explanatory. So right away when we choose this origin, you can see I'm kind of short. Yeah. I think I can fit through a block and a half spaces. Indeed, so you're just that little extra bit nimbler when it comes to running away and stuff. So, without ado, let's get straight into the main point of being a Scorpio. So, let's say you have, what's a good damage? 5 damage sword. A normal sword, like this, would kill a zombie in about 4 hits. But a Scorpio, you can see, if they would get out of my way, it takes quite a few more than that. I didn't actually count there, but it's quite a bit harder to kill things using melee. If you crit, I think you can get about the same DPS as a normal person would. But yes, so you struggle killing things within melee combat. But what you do specialize in is, if I quickly just 1 second, set myself here to survival mode. All the zombies are going to look at me. And yeah, they hit me, nothing happens, I have less hearts, I'm smaller. Kind of a little fragile here. But where the main focus of how you're going to kill these guys without the extra damage you get from the swords is using your primary ability key. When I do it, there's a little sound effect, you get particles, and you get wither for about 6 seconds. You can see I'm not being damaged, along with there being a cooldown down below. Now you can have this active a lot of the time. The cooldown barely lasts longer than the wither does, but it does take some hunger, which I will show off. And you see, when the enemies hit me, they themselves are withered. They gain like wither 3, I think, for 3 seconds, which can be quite painful, but it's supposed to help make up for the DPS of the sword. So let's see if I go in here with the wither and a sword, then I can kind of, okay. Not the best of examples. I don't have any armor on to help me survive, so you're not meant to be fighting that many zombies without armor. But you can still see that it's just that extra little bit of DPS that helps out, you know? Oh, and here's a perfect example. So, you see when I use the ability, instantly some of my hunger goes away. It's not that bad, but it discourages you from just spamming the ability to keep it on at all times. So that's quite the simplest bit of this origin, to be exact. It is not too much of a heavy impact. It changes your playstyle a little bit. You have to rely a little bit more on getting hit, meaning you want to survive, and yeah, stuff like that. I was thinking of making it more like you have to regen using the wither effect, but that might be for another time depending on feedback and everything like that. So, also, you're immune to poison. I know I'm in creative mode, but it still doesn't show up. Yeah, just believe me on that part. You're immune to poison and hunger. So, next, this is one of the less impactful ones of the three. Next up, we've got, I'm going to skip Cancer for now, Pisces. They have the like water. Peaceful being. You dislike the idea of combat, causing you to have 2 less hearts, deal less damage on all attacks, but due to your scales, you have natural armor, so you have a little bit of extra armor that I'll show off. You're slightly smaller than the average person. I think it is very slightly smaller than Scorpio. You also gain aquatic hands. You can craft uncraftable items such as hearts of the sea, tridents, and corals. Coral strength. When within 35 blocks of 4 pieces of live coral, you gain strength 2. This helps negate your... actually allows you to do a little more DPS than what would be the normal amount. So it kind of counteracts that weakness that you have from this stuff. It's not actually the weakness effect, but you know. And you cannot wear heavy armor. Kind of like the Elytrians. You can breathe underwater, but not on land. So you're kind of limited to the water. You have aqua affinity, you may break blocks underwater as others do, fins, and translucent skin. Let me choose this real quick. So again, you can see, just I'm a little shorter. Not by much, it's not going to make too much of a gameplay difference. It might make you a little harder to hit in combat, but that's fine. So if you also look, I am ever so slightly translucent. It's just a cool little effect. Now let me also hop in the water real quick as I swap my mode over to survival. You can see I can breathe underwater. But if I go out, air starts to pop. Yeah, kind of like the Merling. You're like an altered Merling in a way. So, yeah. Don't expect it to be much different. You have 3 bars of extra natural armor. You are slightly faster. And now for the crafting recipes. This is the main point of the Pisces is the uncraftable part. So, if I remember correctly, I'm gonna show off some of these recipes. Let me just stack of that. Where is it? Prismarine shards. Here we go. Let me snag a couple of these. Okay. So if I also grab a crafting table, this is kind of important. And I think I also need a sea lantern. So these recipes are not exactly the hardest. They're not the most well thought out. They can change. This is the recipe for the Hearts of the Sea. Sea lantern surrounded by prismarine shards, and you get Heart of the Sea. And then you can also, using this recipe right here, craft a trident. So you have a steady supply of these bad boys. So if you ever have a server, you can supply those. Just a neat little thing. Alright. So now if I go into my inventory, here's how you craft the corals. So the corals, there's different types if you didn't know. And they each require cobblestone and dye. If I can remember what dyes they had. I think they have yellow and green. I don't know. There's a couple that you can kind of just look at the color of the coral and then correspond it with the dye. So you do a cross pattern like that and you get a corresponding coral type. Nice and simple, nothing too complicated, not too expensive, but it's a renewable resource now. Okay, there is not a green coral. Good to know. What corals are there? I think they're in decoration. No, probably blocks. Probably should have prepared better for this. Well, did I miss it? I think I missed them. Whatever, you get my point. So you look for whatever color of coral you want, and then you just put it in a pattern with the corresponding dye. So now you can see I can place this coral. It will die outside of land, and the dead coral does not count towards those 4 blocks, just a heads up. They can be 4 of any block. Let me just demonstrate that. So I have 3, and as soon as I place down the 4th, I gain strength 2. You can, there we go. You can see right here. And now, that kind of gives me back my damage in a way. I just fly over here. You see, you become quite powerful, but only around those coral blocks. If a single one of them gets destroyed, or if a single one of them actually dies, let me just show it off. You see if I have it out on land, since it's within 35 blocks, I gain it. But as soon as this dies, I start to lose the effect. So, it has to be live, and cannot be dead. Has to be within 35 blocks. Alright. Next on the list, the most unique one, and the one I personally enjoy the most, Cancer. So, of course, like water. And here's some of the more unique things. This is the most impactful one of all, I would say. Shelled being. You have a hard shell, giving you some natural armor. But this also restricts you from wearing any armor besides boots. But you can wear any type of boots that you want. You also have 1 less heart and move slower than average. You also have hardened shell. This is where the gameplay comes in. You may consume turtle scutes in order to increase your armor and damage resistance. Shatterable shell. While the scutes are active to protect you, they can only block so much. After a few hits, I think it's around 5, you lose 1 level of scute armor. Using a piece of kelp, you may repair 1 level of that damage. That'll also be demonstrated. Starting stockpile, you start with 2 scute shells. This is just to help you get started. A large appetite, you exhaust much quicker than others, thus requiring more to eat, and then the other 2 water things. So right away you'll notice, unlike the other 2, you're normal size. But you also have 2 meters that the other 2 do not have. So if I grab these scutes, let me snack some kelp just for demonstrational purposes. You'd normally have to grind this up and stuff. Where is the kelp? Let me just search it up real quick. There we go. So, if I go into survival mode here, you see I have 1 less heart of health, just because I like giving stuff like that. You move slower than average. This is me sprinting. Just believe me, that's slower than average. And watch what happens when I right-click this scute. So I take about a heart of damage, heart and a half-ish sometimes from this zombie. I can right-click, it consumes this scute, and it fills up the meter by 1. And so, you can fill this up to, I think, 5 times. You cannot spam it. It does have an invisible cooldown of, I think, 2 seconds. And you see I currently have 4 equipped in. And I have a near full bar of armor. This is without any type of boots. And so if I walk over to the zombie, get hit, you see I'm not taking any damage. But you do see what is taking damage is my shell. So if I take, I think, 2 more hits, yeah, 2 more, you heard the sound effect, and my level went down by 1. So I lost some of that armor. So in middle of combat, you're going to want to try and make sure you don't break these shells. And to do that, 1 more hit would break my shell. If I hold some kelp and right-click it, it will repair 1 level. Again, not spammable. It actually shows you the bar for this one. But it allows you to repair the current damage on your armor. So if I equip 2 more, this is the maximum protection you can get without boots. And you can see I am quite tough at the moment. He can't really do much damage to me until he starts breaking my armor, which I can equip to fix. And then I can tie it up with some kelp. And yeah. So it's a quite unique gameplay aspect there. Now, if I can show you guys, you cannot wear any armor like this. You see I'm trying to click it. I don't know if you can hear my clicking. Probably can. But I cannot equip any sort of armor except for on my feet, giving me extra defense and access to stuff like Protection 4. So you can become a huge tank, you know? Which, in turn, allows you to be pretty good at PvP, as long as you have a steady supply of scutes and kelp and you manage your resources properly. Another thing to watch out for, any kind of damage. If I forgot to grab a flint and steel. Any sort of damage will trigger your scutes to start to break. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be fall damage, it could be drown damage, any sort of damage, including fire damage. So it is quite risky, and you're going to need to watch out for any sort of damage like that. So yeah, I think that's it for the Zodiac Origins, at least the water. I will be working on 3 for each of the different types, like earth, air, I think. I might do fire next. Fire might be fun, if there is a fire. I forget the types of Zodiacs, but I'm planning to do 1 for each, except for the Snake Bearer. Yeah. So, hope you all enjoyed. I'll try and link the data pack down in the description below if you're interested to check it out. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're interested in possibly catching more of some of my Origin content. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed. Hope to see you all next time.